Basic skills for comprehension are really important, and these are the skills which every time you see an unseen text, you can apply over and over again. There are simple steps for achieving success in comprehension, and if you utilize these steps, you're on your way to achieving excellent answers. The first step is to read the questions before you read the text. This allows you, once you're reading the text, to understand what you're looking for. When you see the keywords in the question, and when you're reading through the text later, your mind can identify the answers subconsciously. The second point is to check how many marks the question is worth. Now, this is really important to know how much you have to write for each answer. If a question's worth 2 marks, you might only write a little bit. But if a question's worth 6, 7, or 8 marks, you're obviously going to be writing quite a lot. The other reason that this is important is because of time management. You need to know how long to spend on each question so you can absolutely maximize your marks in this comprehension. The third step is to underline the important words in the question. So making sure you underline the key words will ensure that you're absolutely answering the question and giving the marker what they really want to read. The fourth step is to annotate key words in the question with synonyms or smaller words. So sometimes the question might seem daunting because it has long words in it or complicated sentence structure. By really breaking down and annotating the sentence of the question, you're going to be able to write a more clear and coherent response. The fifth step is to mark key sections of the text which answer the question. So this might be by underlining or using a highlighter. Anything which makes it more easy to go back while you're answering the questions and find the sections of the text which are most relevant. This might be quotes which are particularly good for answering the question, or examples of techniques which you're planning on using in your answers. The sixth technique is to circle things which you don't understand in the text, or even in the questions. These are things which you can try to look up in glossaries if you have time, or just to avoid if you don't have time. So this provides a guideline of where you're going to be getting your answers from, and will make everything a lot easier for you. How do I write a short answer response? Now, it's really important to note that in comprehension, students are more than likely losing marks for poor expression. They read the text and they understand the questions and they answer them. However, they're not writing in a sophisticated and fleshed out enough way. They're not using enough examples and enough techniques. So expression and structure is really the way that you're going to get marks and stand out in this section. This means writing in full sentences, not just using one answer, words, or dot points. This also means using paragraphs for longer responses. If you're given lines for the comprehension section and not an exam booklet, you need to make sure that you fill all of the lines with your response, and ensure that your paragraphs are 3 to 4 sentences at least in length. This shows the marker that you have a lot to say and that you're willing to stake enough time on the comprehension to really answer the questions correctly. The rule is the more the better. Obviously, you don't want to be spending too much time on each question, but the more you can get down on the page, the more techniques and the more examples, the more likely you are to get the marks. It's also important that you use short sentences within your paragraphs, which are succinct and answer the question directly rather than just fluffing around it. You should use things like key words at the start of your sentences, so relating directly back to the question or quoting words from the text which you are analysing. You also need to watch your tense in comprehension. So if you write, for example, Shakespeare wrote using, you must stick to that and not change to Shakespeare writes using. It's more consistent in your response if you decide between present and past tense and then use this throughout all of your answers, as it shows sophistication. Structuring your short answer response, as we've discussed, is a really important issue in your area of study comprehension. And the importance of structure is definitely something which the marker sees. This is the way in which you can structure it. Firstly, providing a topic sentence. This is what alerts the marker to the main idea of your paragraph and the main way in which you're answering the question. So your topic sentence can give a direct answer to the question being asked. Secondly, you provide a technique. This is especially important in the questions which ask how. You must identify language techniques or visual techniques to show the marker that you really understand the text which you're analysing. Thirdly, you must give a quote. Now, this shouldn't be too long because it takes up time to copy out quotes. Simply 3 to 5 words from your text which demonstrate that you understand the text and that you're using it specifically to answer the questions. Fourthly, you must explain your quote. So, for example, if this was the quote which I drew from the text, Ben's heart beat like a drum. This is the way in which I might analyse it after that. This simile shows that Ben is anxious in his current state, drawing upon the metaphor of the drum to demonstrate how anxious and nervous he is in his situation. So there you've showed an example and a technique and then used sophisticated analysis to demonstrate to the marker exactly what you mean. 5, you use a conclusion. This can be a sentence in a shorter response, or if you're doing a longer response, can be a couple of sentences or a small paragraph. This is where you again show the marker exactly what your answer to the question is.